Hello, beautiful people. It's so good to be on with all of you. Hi, Mona. Hi, Marilyn. Thank you both for, uh, chatting with me in the chat. Oh my gosh. Well, I have so much to share. It's been a whirlwind of fun and adventure, and I'm excited to share it with you. I originally was going to come on with a different topic, but because things changed for me, I'm going to save that one for future. So, anyways, um, yeah, so let's see. I'll just wait like, I don't know, 30 seconds just to give people a chance to log in if they're wanting to. But I am super excited to share. So, does anyone have any questions? Any questions that could be regarding this, or it might be regarding anything else? If you do, post it in the chat and I'll try to answer it. Okay, so I guess I'm going to get started. Okay, so this is, I want to just tell you, I want to tell you about like how I got to go to Ethos Farm, and I want to tell you about preparing for it and talk about food. And then I want to also take you through the event and what I experienced, and then packing to come home. And any questions you have at all, just put them in the chat, and we can talk about it. And so I just, before we really get going, I want to say hi, Roseanne. Hi, Jill. Oh my gosh. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Janet. Oh, it's so good to have everyone. And so anyways, I was just saying that I won't repeat myself, but I was just sharing about how we're going to unravel this event. So the first thing, and I have this yellow paper because there's so much to uncover. I want to have some written down. So if you see me looking down, it's probably because I want to make sure that I share so much with you guys. Hi, Kenneth. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Okay, so how I got to go to Ethos Farm last minute. And so I will share that, and then I will talk about my food prep. Okay, so Friday, I woke up very early. I had a Zoom call that I go on that day very early, and after that, I was feeling really tired. I took Remy for a walk, and I was going to get into my day, and I got a phone call, and it was from a friend of mine. And my friend said, "Are you going to Ethos Farm?" And I said, "Oh, no, I went last year." So I said, "No, I'm not able to go this year. I would love to, but it didn't happen." And my friend said, "Well, I'm supposed to go and I can't go now. Are you available to go in my place?" And I was like, "It's tomorrow." I mean, I'm in Arizona, and if you're not familiar what Ethos Farm is or where it is, it's in New Jersey. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, let me see if I can figure this out and let you know." And within an hour and a half or so, I called my friend back and said, "It's a go." And so there was one flight going out. And it was at like 3 o'clock Arizona time. And so I had like 2 hours notice, 2 hours, not 2 hours notice to pack and get everything organized and get to the airport and board a flight. And so I normally like to be more of a planner. I like to prep my food. I like to do all these things. And this time I was just gonna walk through it and have a fun adventure. So I just kind of want to talk to you about what I did. And I have some food out here because I want to just tell you I didn't have a plan. What are you going to do? Because normally I'm telling you to have a plan, right? Or I'm sharing what I do as a plan. And so what I did was I looked in the refrigerator and I just saw what I had. And this isn't exactly what I had, but it's close. And because I ate some of that, right? So the first thing I did was I grabbed some fruit, and I grabbed some apples, and I grabbed an orange. I don't have an orange right now. But I'm going to use this grapefruit in its place. And I put these in a Ziploc bag just the way they are, just like this, one of these bags. And I reuse my bags because I'm not into buying a bunch of plastic. And so this was how this went. Now, keep in mind, I was thinking already about the return. What if I can't get anything for the flight back, right? I know that if I have this, well, this is a grapefruit, but I had an orange. I can peel the orange and have it ready to go. And as long as I don't peel it, it should last. And same with the apples, okay? And so then I had some melon already cut up. I don't have any right now because I ate it all. But at the time, I had some melon. And what I did was I just dumped the melon already cut in a bag. And then I took a mango because I had a fresh mango. And I'm going to show you what I did. I cut the mango just like this. Into 3 pieces. And if you can pretend that there is melon in here and this, I have all the wet, ready to go food. So this for me would be what I eat first, the melon and then the mango. Now I didn't cut the mango smaller because I wanted it to last longer. And I thought maybe this would allow it to last longer, but I kept this wet. I wouldn't want to put the apple in here because then it'd be all wet. And I just want to make sure that it's in something that I can either wash this bag out to use it again or, dump it. So there's the melons that I had. And then I grabbed some well-being bars because I love well-being bars. And I always say that these are great. They're clean bars. They're great to travel with. And they've got all real ingredients. So I had those and I had 3. So I have 3 here. I grabbed a salad. I had some salad. Now this is not the salad because I ate it, but I grabbed a salad and I grabbed a container. Now I use these containers because these are recyclable. Not recyclable, but these are like ones that I've gotten. They're usually throwaway ones. And I tend to like to use these for travel because if they don't make it, I'm okay to toss them. If I can recycle them. If they do make it, then maybe I can use it for something else. And if I don't have room in my bag for some reason, then I can also not feel bad about getting rid of them. Whereas if I brought my own like Tupperware or, Rubbermaid or whatever, I might feel like I need to carry it no matter what. So I just grabbed my salad that was in a different container and filled it. And I can do that for you now because I really want you to get the gist. I just literally grabbed salad and put it in here. This one has apples and just whatever. I just grabbed it until it was full, right? And then for dressing, oh my God, this is sticking. Hold on. For dressing, I have some lemon, and I may have had lemon or lime, and I just I just take it and I put it in there. And why do I do that? Because that for me is a good enough dressing for travel. If you have a different dressing and you want to go ahead and put it on, go ahead. California balsamic is a great one that I do travel with sometimes, but this time I didn't. And then I just closed it up. I filled it to the very, very brim. And sometimes I'll even put a fork inside it, like reusable or plastic. Anyhow, so I have my salad, I have my fruit. And then what else did I have? So these are limes, lemon or lime, cut them and put them in there any way you want. And then I had a Yukon Gold that was baked. This is a sweet potato, and it is not baked. But what I did was I put it in a container. It fit in a container. Did I put it in a container? I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't. I'm sorry. Maybe I put it in with the fruit, but I had, oh yes, I did. I'm sorry. Okay, back up the truck. I put this in with the fruit, and I was thinking that I probably wouldn't eat that until the way back if I had refrigeration or if I was really hungry. And so the next thing I had was some stir fry. And this is not stir fry, and this is not, I already ate it, but this is supposed to give you an example. And so this has potato and some marinara and all kinds of stuff in here, spiralized zucchini and the pasta is chickpea pasta. Anyways, so I pretend that this is a stir fry, and I packed it to the brim with this container, which is not a throwaway one, but it's one that I sometimes use for travel. And I literally just dumped it, and I had enough to fill the entire container all the way to the brim, and it had kale, and it was a wonderful stir fry. Now this one isn't filling to the top, but you get the idea. And so far, I'm feeling pretty good, right? Fruit salad. I've got my main dish with the potato and the dressing. And then I've got my bean bars, and I had made some crackers. And I did that like a couple days prior. And that just was an interview I did with Jason DeSalvo. You can check it out on my channel, but we made these crackers. And so I took a bunch of these, and I also put them in. So I moved them from a glass heavy container into something like this, and I filled it up, and I put it in with the bean bars, and so you can just imagine, right? And you can either put the bars in there. I think I left them aside, and that's it, right? So if you were curious, how did I carry it on? Well, I'm going to move this out of the way because that's for later. I literally just put it all together. And I went on board without a check on. I carried on only. I used this backpack. There was a time not too long ago when I couldn't carry a backpack. Oh, and there is something else that I forgot to tell you. I know what it was. It was that I put with the crackers, cornbread muffins, and that just came out today. You can see the recipe, and I put, I think, 4 or 5 of them in here. And the idea was to have at least one per day, and if I needed 2, I would have 2. And so I don't have any more of those, but imagine, right? And so going back to, there was a time when I couldn't carry a backpack. I mean, I just could not carry a backpack. The weight didn't work for me. And so this particular backpack, you may have seen me wear before. I like it because the weight is distributed on the waist instead of up here on your back. But I had my clothes, and I will tell you what I brought in a minute. And I, on the top, put the food, and I was out of here, and it was kind of crazy and wonderful, and I'm super grateful for it. So I wanted to show you about the food. The other thing I want to tell you, I just want to make sure that I got everything. Yeah, okay, I did the cornbread and everything. Oh yes, and a water bottle. Whoops. And when I travel, I like to use this clearly filtered water bottle because it has a filter in it, and so I carry it empty. It fits on the side of the backpack. And when I get through security, I go ahead by the bathroom and I fill it up with their water, and I drink it through the straw that it comes with, so that the filter is here and the water is filtered. And then I just have this the entire time. So no matter what water I have, I don't have to buy bottled water, which who knows what's in there anyways. But I can feel confident that whatever water I have, even on the plane, when they ask you, would you like something to drink? And they try to give me these cookies that I said no thank you to. I did ask for water, and they gave me 2 little cups of water. I said no ice. And I just fill this up, pour it right in here, and that's it. I leave the lid in there because you don't want to overfill it, and then it overflows. And that has been a lifesaver for me. It makes me feel very comfortable. So we get to where I'm going, right? It's like a 5-hour flight, and I am in New York City by myself. I've only ever been there once before, and I wasn't alone. I was with my husband, and I end up, figuring out how to get the rental car and get to my hotel. And it's like midnight their time. And I still have to drive the next morning 2 hours to New Jersey, where Ethos Farm is. And so I did it. And the hotel that I stayed at had breakfast that they offered. And I went and looked, and they didn't have anything that I could eat, but I was okay because Ethos Farm was offering a breakfast, and I knew that I had some of this stuff still left over. I did eat a lot of it on the flight there, all of the fruit that was cut up, and the salad, and the stir fry half of it. Anyways, so I'm going to stop for a minute before we move on to Ethos Farm, and I just want to share, because I said I would, what I packed, and then I'm going to see if there are any questions. I literally had these little, what do you call those duffel, those zipper things that we have that you put your clothes in? I forget what they're called.
I call them zipper things we put our clothes in.
Okay, well, if you want to grab one, I can show them. I forgot to grab one, but I basically had 2 pair of pants. One I was wearing, one was in my bag, 3 shirts, some toiletries, my sunglasses, my regular glasses, and my purse with, wallet and stuff. That's it. So it wasn't much to think about. I just kind of went and aha. So yeah, these things. Have you guys ever seen these? They come in different brands, but you zip these up and put your stuff in there, and these fit perfectly in my backpack. So I have this bigger one, and there's a smaller one that I put my toiletries or any medication or anything that I have. And so I had two of these. I brought an extra one, which I'm glad I did. We have one that's a different color that we use for if the clothes are dirty, but I don't have that one now because it's dirty. So we put these in the bag, in the duffel bag, and in the backpack, and then the food on top and ready to roll. So let me see if we have any questions here. It's so great to see everyone. Hi, Gina. Thank you so much for being our moderator. Yay, Gina's in the house. Hi, Colleen. Colleen was there. It was so good to see her. Let's see, did I miss anybody? Hello, if I missed anyone. Packing cubes, yes. Roseanne, you just passed it, so I can't read anymore, but yes, they're called packing cubes. Aren't they amazing? Do you use those? And, oh, Janet said hello. Oh, boy. I don't know. Okay, well, that's okay. Let's see. Yes, it was a pretty hectic couple of hours, Todd said. And I'm just reading in the chat. Hi, Estelle. So good to have you. There's the packing cubes. Okay, let's see. And Nan, hello. Jennifer, the travel warrior. Oh my gosh. You know what? Thank you. I just want to say, as exciting as it was and as privileged and honored as I felt, I was a little nervous at first, just not knowing, not having that time to figure it out. But I just decided, you know what, it's going to work itself out, and it's great, and it did. And so hi, Kelly. She was there too. And so, okay, so I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to keep moving forward. Okay, so Ethos Farm. This place is in New Jersey, and it is incredible. If you've never been there, you can look it up online. They have these things once a year called Ethos Farm Days. But Ethos Farm, and it's a regenerative, organic, nonprofit farm, and it's 342 acres, believe it or not. And there's all kinds of history about it, and you can look it up. So I'm just going to kind of give you little bits and pieces up. But so it's owned and operated by Dr. Ron Weiss, and he has been interviewed many times on Chef AJ. In fact, that's how I learned about him, and that's how I learned about Ethos Farm Days. And so you could always look on her channel to listen to any of their interviews. But who is he? Well, he runs Ethos Primary Care, because it's separate from the farm, but it's all on the same property. And he has, get this, I didn't even realize this, he has a dual board certified medical doctor, and it's in internal and lifestyle medicine. Wow, isn't that cool? And so what do they do there? Well, they grow they have a regenerative farm, and I just recently did an interview with Jason DeSalvo talking about what that means. And so if you're interested and you haven't seen it, please check out the video. But it's basically bringing life back to the soil. And so what they do there is they have a farmer's market, and they have staff that lives there. Some of them don't. And they have a medical practice. And he believes in treating people with food as medicine first. And then if you need something in, medication or whatever, but don't start with that. Start with allowing the body to heal. It's such an amazing thing. And the food, oh my gosh. So now I'll just tell you, there's a question. Okay.
Mona has a question. Did they have cabin rooms to rent or a place on the farm to stay?
Not for guests. That's a great question. There is a little like bed and breakfast, I think, that's not too far that I hear has like 4 rooms. And so it's, not very convenient. Well, it's convenient if you get it, but if you don't get the room, most people get those VRBOs or Airbnbs. I also know that there's some hotels not far, but you would need some kind of a transportation. But they do have some rooms there, but I noticed that I think that they were for some of the speakers. And so hopefully that answers your question. Still worth going, Mona, if you want to plan for next year. Okay, so when I was there, I'll just tell you there was so much to see and do. They had vendors there, and so you can look at all the vendors and you can shop from them. I'm going to just read a few of the names of the vendors. You can learn so much from them. Eden Brand, that I always talk about with the beans. Oh my gosh, Eden Brand was there, and they have so many different types of products that I didn't even know existed because they don't carry all of them in the store, but they were telling me that you can go online and get them. And they were giving away some free samples of stuff. I don't have any to show because I didn't take them because some of it had salt or oil. So for me, that's a no-no. And I didn't want it to be tempting, so I just left it there. But what I did learn, and I think Kelly, you could even say that they when they cook and produce their beans, their cooked beans, they do it in the can. And so most other bean companies that can it add some kind of caking agent. Is that right? Kelly, if you're still on here, I would love for you to share a little bit more of that, because she was the one that told me about that. And it's just wonderful that Eden does no salt beans, and they do have some kombucha in their water that they pressure cook. And it's just a wonderful thing to be able to talk to them. And that company is amazing. And they have all kinds of things: quinoa, millet. They have grains and they have beans and even some mixed soups and chilies and stuff that I don't see in my local store, but maybe you do. So there was also something called Windy Haven Farms. Oh my gosh, it was like baked goods. And normally, when I go to that kind of stuff, I have to go right past it, right? So it's not for me. What did this sign say? Whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free, gluten-free, get out. Yes. Oh my gosh. And so that was fun. So I got some treats. One of my friends there got me a brownie that was just made. I think I wrote the recipe here, or not the recipe, but the ingredients. The brownie was black beans. Okay, so a black bean brownie with dates, unsweetened soy milk, some oats, 100% cacao chocolate, and cacao powder with walnuts and vanilla bean paste. Yo, that was it. Okay, so talk about decadent and tasty, and no harm to the body or to any animals. And then I bought some pumpkin spice delights to share, and those had walnuts, dates, pumpkin, and pumpkin pie spice and vanilla. That's it. So that was really exciting. I felt like I was doing something wrong when I was eating that, but you know what? I wasn't. I was doing everything right. So okay, so going back to Ethos Farm. Now, what do they do there? I kind of already went over that they treat people with food first, but he's a medical doctor. And so if there's something else that needs to be dealt with, they definitely can take care of you there. The bummer is that you have to be a resident of New Jersey. And so I can't have him, unless I live locally, I can't have him at this point be my doctor. But if you live near there and you're interested, check him out, man. The staff, everything is just amazing. And so the rest of the vendors are, I kind of got off topic. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. So there was indigo owl eyes, jewelry. They did stones. There were so many. And the last one I'm going to say is there was a mushroom vendor. And the reason I want to share that is because I got some mushrooms from them. and brought them back. I actually stuck this in like a bag, like a little paper bag that I had, and I put it in my purse because, in addition, I forgot to mention, in addition to that backpack, I just had my purse, and my purse has a strap, and so I put it this way and I filled it with mushrooms. But look at this. Isn't that delightful? These were grown locally, just not far from the farm, and they had all kinds. I mean, these are lion's mane, and so, locally, I like to buy our mushrooms, but I thought, well, it was the end of the day, and he was actually offering them at a discount, and so I said, okay. And anyways, I got them here, and I'm going to cook them up. So anyways, now, when they started the conference, it's all outdoors. They have this big giant tent, and they have all kinds of chairs. I don't know how many people were there, but I bet the tent could fit a couple hundred. It just seemed like it was a large amount of people. And then they had a stage, and they had monitors, and they did record it. And I think it will be for sale at some point, the replay, but I'm not exactly sure. And so if you're familiar with the NHA, the National Health Association, that's ran by Mark Huberman and his wife Wanda, they were there, and they were announcers with Jason DeSalvo, who I mentioned earlier, and his wife was there, Deborah, lovely, and their kids were there. Anyhow, they started to do announcing, and they started out each day with this lady. I don't know her title. I should have looked it up. I don't know if she's a nurse or what, Aisha, but she works for Dr. Weiss on staff. And I think Todd's going to see if he can find it. Anyhow, she started off with this meditation type of thing where she would have us, lower our gaze. And she kind of talked through just experiencing present. And it was really lovely. I found that I struggled with it a little bit just because it was me, right? I needed to just like allow myself to decompress. And it was a great reminder that we need to do that in our regular day. Okay, so I said her name wrong. It's Asha Gala, and she's a lifestyle clinical director at Ethos Farm. I apologize for making her name incorrect. But anyways, so she did that. And then they had a photographer there, this gentleman, Robert Stolp, and then they had all kinds of speakers for 2 days. And some of the speakers were, of course, Dr. Ron Weiss. He shared his story. He read a poem. He's a musician. There was a band at the end, at the last day at the end. So there was a lot of live music. But prior to that, there was a Dr. Megan Grega, not Gregor, Grega. And she was so wonderful. She runs the Kellen Foundation, which is working with local schools and underprivileged people. She teaches cooking, and they try to get the good food into the schools and different things like that. I had the privilege of hanging out with her for one of the lunches, and she made a chili that I got to have, and it was delicious. She had a salad too, but I couldn't have it because it wasn't a gluten-free salad, and it had a grain under it, but it looked delicious, and I took all of the veggies off the top, the tomatoes and stuff like that. And it was really wonderful. And she really talked about the foundation and talked about the schools and just talked about, food. I mean, food and how things need to be changed, and how certain people don't have access to even know where to begin. And so it's a wonderful thing that she does. And it was a pleasure to meet her. There was also Dr. Alan Goldhamer, which I'm very familiar with, and I think a lot of you are. Oh, I see Lisa on here. Hi. Oh, hi, Donna. That's okay. It says she's joining late. It sounds like an amazing trip. Yes, if anybody can go in the future, and you've never gone and it's of interest, it's fun. You should go. It's a very learning experience. But the other thing I want to say, Dr. Ron Weiss, when I saw him, before I go on to Dr. Alan Goldhamer, I want to step back a minute to Dr. Ron Weiss. I know I do that. When he introduced and talked and started, prior to that, I saw him outside, and I just said, you know what? I wasn't really supposed to be here, and this is what happened. And And I told him the importance of it, why it was important for me to go. I wanted to go because I experienced it the year before for one of the 2 days. And I had wanted to go because I believed and wanted to be a part of the whole idea of treating with medicine and growing it right there. So that when you are a patient, you drive up the road. I mean, I don't know if you actually drive past the food that's grown on the farm, because we went in a different way, but that's what my understanding was at the time. And you're not a 10-minute number. You're there, and the people care about you, and they want to problem solve with you. And I just so believe in it. And the whole idea behind regenerative organic farming and figuring out that it's not just the food, it's where does the food come from? And where does it all start? In the soil. I just wanted to be a part of that. And I felt because I had this grand opportunity that I would want to go, even if I hardly had any sleep, right? And I told him that, and I thanked him. And I told him that I felt like this was a real magical place that he has, quite a treasure, and that there was so much to offer people. It fills me up emotionally. And he said, as a testimony, would you be okay if I called you up to share that? And I said, if you think it'll help anybody, because I was just talking to him. And so he did. He called me up and he said, as a testimony. And before he called me up, I said, what do you want me to say? And he said, just say what you said. And so I did share that. And people were like, oh my gosh, you're from Arizona. There were people that said, we didn't know we were reaching people in Arizona. We thought we were only reaching people here in New Jersey and New York. So that was really interesting, even though they had speakers from California, and Chef AJ is a huge share of Dr. Ron Weiss's work, but there are still people that don't know. So anyways, I just wanted to share that as well. Going to Dr. Goldhamer, he has a new book, which I have, but I forgot to bring it up here. Do you want to grab it? It's, yeah, okay. And he was doing a, promoting his new book, signing, and he also did a presentation. I actually saw his presentation before a couple of times. I saw it at the NHA. That was the first time, because this is a newer one. And then I also saw it when I was able to go to Rancho La Porta recently. And you know what? At first I thought, well, I've already seen it, maybe I should go and do something else. And I said, no, I need to be here. And I sat there through the whole thing and got more out of it, because every time we hear something, we might absorb a little more of what the teachings are. And he was on his best game. He was funny and witty, and it was a really great presentation, one of my favorites. And so I really liked that one. His book is probably a longer version. Oh, you're not sure where it is? That's okay. I think it's called Can Fasting Save Your Life? And it's a blue cover. But at any rate, it's a similar as to what the book says, his presentation. Yeah, Can Fasting Save Your Life? Okay. He also talked about the pleasure trap, but that was just to say that he was part of that. And if anyone knows what the pleasure trap is, oh my goodness. And if you don't, you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. Okay, so moving on, there was somebody named Mary Berry of the Berry Center. She's an executive director. And she had a lot to say. There was a lot to share. I understand, I think it's if her children or grandchildren, I can't remember which generation it was, but if the last generation, I think it's her children, if they stay there, or maybe, I don't know if they're her kids or that generation, because this is a family-owned thing, it will be the 9th generation to stay there and continue. Her father wrote many books and started a lot of carrying on things from after the 1950s, where the soil and food changed. They were just making it a point to make sure that they kept reiterating what we need to go back to now. And this is, quote, what I heard her say, that she thinks that the people, us, society, needs to be making soil great again. And she was saying that it starts with what is under our feet, the soil, the ground, the earth. And, she said to improve our food supply and bring back small farms. And so I always talk about the food, the food, the food, the food. But where does the food come from? It grows from the earth. But what if the earth and the soil is dirt? We have got to make sure, and this is what I'm starting to learn, and what she was talking about, that it's not enriched, but richly produced soil with lots of it's not microbiome because that's in our stomach, but it's all microorganisms. That's it. Thank you. And just have it so you have cover crops when you're not growing, right? I haven't been doing that. I grow in my beds and then I pull it and then I wait and then I, mix up some new stuff in the soil. And no, the idea is not to really turn the soil a lot and just kind of move it just enough to get airflow in there and to put cover crops so that there's always nutrients from the bottom of the cover crops, like a clover or red clover or whatever it is. The roots system is keeping things going, and then you can continue to grow. Anyhow, it was just fascinating and wonderful, and so you can look her up and check out the Berry Center if you're interested in more. She's got quite the lengthy bio, and I think it's still up on Ethos Farm website. There was also a farm field manager, Nick Hodgson. I actually got a tour with this time and last time, and he is one of the people that lives there that works the farm. And he's a farmer. And, when one thing I heard him say is that, now I hope I get the number right, but they grow enough to feed, I think he said 250 people. He could have said 60. I know he said those two numbers. I hope I'm not mixing it up, but under 300 people, I'm just going to say, right? And that's for their staff, for their patients, because they have a farmer's market for that area. And that's it. And somebody had said, are you going to expand? And he said, which surprised me, he said, no, I don't want to expand. I'm already putting in, 60 whatever hours a week. I don't want to work more. I want to enjoy life. What I want is for other people to become farmers or other farmers to start doing it in smaller groups. And so if we have a lot of people doing this, we can cover more area. And I just found that fascinating because I'm so disconnected. I've never grown up on a farm. I haven't really been exposed to living that kind of lifestyle. But I always thought that, well, yeah, you want to keep growing and expanding, but it was interesting to hear him say the reasons that he didn't want to. And so anyways, I got to taste the food, right off of the vine. They picked some yellow and red cherry tomatoes and some 2 different kinds of beans, green bean, and the other one was like a yellow, something like that. Oh, so good. Crunch and delicious flavors that you don't get from the grocery store here. At least I don't. So another thing about Nick, the last thing, is that he is dedicated to eco-friendly farming and education. And, I think they do tours also outside of farm days to teach people and kids. And I don't really know, but I would imagine groups and just, that's where it all begins. So they also had a patients panel. And I loved this. So Dr. Weiss was up there, and there were a bunch of different people there, and they were all patients of his, and they were sharing their success stories. So there was a couple that started, they each had a story about their health, but they were there for the health of their babies. And that was so wonderful to hear. And they had a picture of one of their children up there. and they were talking about what he was eating. And I didn't write it down, so I can't even remember some of the food in this salad I hadn't even heard of, which is crazy. And he looked like he was really enjoying it. And so that was really exciting. There was also a brother and sister. They both are adults and they have their own families and spouses, but they were there together. I think the brother, I forgot what kind of work he does in the business field, and she actually was a physician. And they were going there and they were sharing about his blood pressure and her stress levels and their stories of how going to see Dr. Weiss helped them. So it is food. Food is medicine, but there are other components. And so it was good to hear. This couple, there was a married couple. Now, I don't know if they met through, if they already knew each other or if they met through the experience I'm about to share. But this was a couple, and he was not well and had all kinds of, cholesterol and different issues. And they couldn't figure out why some of his blood work was still elevated after he started eating whole food plant-based. And it turned out that Dr. Weiss ended up ordering some special testing, and I can't remember if it was a scan or what it was, but eventually they found out that he had a real problem with his kidney, and he actually needed a kidney transplant. And he was not doing well. When he would walk, he needed to pay attention to where there were places to sit because he would get winded. He shared that he sometimes, had to make sure, I think it was him that shared that he needed to make sure there was a bathroom close. Like there was just all kinds of things. He just wasn't feeling well. And now they finally figured out it was because he needed a kidney transplant. And his wife was a match and gave him her kidney. Oh my gosh. I wish I knew if they met from that or if they already met, but regardless, they're married. And what they were sharing about her is that she was led to believe that she was a great, healthy candidate to give her kidney to her now husband. And after the fact, they were sharing that actually she had a lot of problems with like cholesterol issues and things that could have turned this into like having a stroke and affecting the quality of her life. She was not treated beforehand. And so that's interesting. I mean, so you want to find a doctor who's going to care for you and make sure that everything is good, even if you're feeling fine and you're a donor. Like, oh my gosh. So I learned so much from that. And then there was a lady that was telling her story, and she was in her mid 80s. And man, she was talking about exercise and how whole food plant-based, allows her to pump iron. And she was really cute. There was also Chef AJ. Oh, I want to talk about Chef AJ. Chef AJ was there. It was really great. She was selling her new book, Sweet Indulgence. You can check it out if you haven't. And I just want to say hi, Deborah. I haven't really looked at the chat. Okay, Jill had to go, and that's great. Thanks for stopping in. Lise says, I learned how important good soil is for a garden this year. I brought in new soil this year, and the amount of food I'm harvesting has increased significantly. Good for you. Yeah. And another thing, before I continue with Chef AJ, and we're doing good. I will, we'll be done on time. Is that rotation of crops is important. I guess I didn't realize that. So for a number of reasons, are you aware of that? I'd love to hear in the chat. And Colleen says, that was such an amazing story. He was so emotional. Yeah, the guy that got the kidney transplant. Oh my gosh. It was really emotional and touching. And I tend to get the goosebumps sometimes. Sometimes I cry, but sometimes I get the goosebumps, and I had the goosebumps. And I did go up and just said hello and just told them that I appreciated, them sharing this touching story. And they're doing so great. Anyways, Chef AJ, she came up and did a presentation. Boy, was she funny. I mean, I thought she was excellent. So she was teaching and showing how she makes some of her dishes that are in her recipe book. And I should have gotten the book to show the names, but there was a peanut butter. I don't know if anyone that's on the line here remembers. There was some kind of peanut butter parfait type of thing where she layered it with bananas and some granola or oats or something. Anyhow, there was another one that was a tart, and she made it with dates and oats. And then she was talking about you could just do it raw, or you could bake it, and then you could store it. And then she was showing how she masticated the fruit to make it nice and juicy, and she filled it with all kinds of berries. And then she started talking about joking. She was joking, and she is a jokester, about masticating and masturbating, and it was really funny. And then at one point she was showing about how she was making some kind of these little like chocolate balls, and she was taking them in the food processor, and then she was making them into a ball. And somebody was wanting to try it, so she started chucking them. She started throwing them overhand and underhand to people. And the gentleman behind me that I actually met at True North, him and I think they're married, him and his wife, or their partner together, and he split it with a couple of us, and so I was able to taste it. It was yummy, of course, but she was really, really funny. She had her game on. And then she went and had a private dinner, and you could pay to have dinner with her. And I was not able to do that, but I have done it before. And boy, is it a treat if you can have Chef AJ cook for you. You will, first of all, you will not be hungry. And secondly, my opinion is that it's very delicious. So some other speakers that they had there was Saul Bautista. Is that correct? And he's a medical education person on the farm, and he went through training with them. He was a speaker there. There was someone named Phil Lombardo, DPT, which basically, my understanding, is a physical therapist, and he was showing movement. And as much as he says going to the gym and lifting weights is great, he was talking about movement in a playful way, which is what I love. And they put some planks down, these long wooden planks, and had people get up there one time. And I did some of this too. Get on the plank and see how many people can get on the plank together. And if your partner has their foot this way, partner, I mean the person next to you, you put your foot this way. If you have 2 feet, you have this way on one foot, and how many different ways. And that was hilarious. And then there was another time when he had people walking on it, walk across 4 of these planks. And you have to do something different than the person in front of you. Oh my gosh. Well, I was kind of in the back. And so everybody was doing all kinds of fun things, but I ended up going backwards, and I walked backwards, and I got most of the way there. At the end, I kind of fell off, but it's always fun to challenge yourself. And so if that's something that you want to work on, balance, you can do that right at home, right? Or at the playground like I do. And then outside during lunch, he was having us do catch. And anyone that walks by, at one point I walked by, and he said, "Do you want to come in?" And I did. And so he had like 5 of us, and keep moving, right? So we're like, we're doing this kind of moving, right? And then somebody in the group throws a vegetable at you and you got to catch it. And then you got to throw the vegetable back, but it can come quickly at the same time. And I think I had this big, some kind of like root vegetable. It was like, I loved it. So that was really fun. Okay. And let's see. I could talk about the food that was served there if you want, but I'll just finish up some of this. Let's see. Oh, okay. The last couple speakers. Mark Dingleson, he's the New York governor's, New Jersey's, okay, I totally butchered that. Let's start over. Mark Dingleson is New Jersey's governor office. He works for the Food Security and Safety Programs, and it's the first of its kind anywhere in the country. And that was really interesting to hear about food security. And There's also someone named Andrew Smith. He's a PhD. And Saul, I think I talked about Saul already, didn't I? Okay, so that's that. And then they had some books for sale, and they had well-being bars that they were offering complimentary. So even though I brought some with, I got to have one the first day, and then the second day at the end, they had some extras, and people were allowed to just take some. So I took a few of those as well to bring home. In the morning, you could sign up for yoga, farm tours, garden tours, which I talked about a little bit. I didn't do the yoga this year, but they did have yoga last year, and I did watch it this year a little bit. And they even had one of these like accordion things when people were doing meditation, not meditation, like shavasana, laying in the grass, grounding, right? You could have a mat or a towel, or you could just be on there on this farm. Oh, God, so amazing. It just allows the nervous system to just decompress. So great. So there was a band, like I said, with music, and a lot of us got up and danced, and it was really fun. They had a children's program. I didn't have any children with me, but they had a children's program, and they had a lot of fun. And then there was a fundraiser dinner. And of course, it's a fundraiser, right? So it was very pricey for me. I wasn't able to go, but I heard that it was outstanding the way that it came across. And I think they may have had music there. It was all whole food, plant-based, everything from the farm. And so I think they sold out. So that's good. And then let's see, I just want to talk about a couple things going home. But before I do that, is anyone interested? Do we have enough time to share about the food that they served there?
We have as much time as you need.
Okay, well, I would share about the food and then how I came home with my food. So let's do that. I just want to make sure there's no questions. I've been chatting so much, I haven't even looked in the chat too much. I apologize, you guys. I love the interaction. So Colleen says, I asked Nick, the farmer, the question if they rotate crops. Yeah, that's good. And they do. And Lisa says, I have rotated some of what I'm growing, but after your interview with Jason, I'll be rotating more next year. Yes, thank you. And thank you for watching that. I think he has so much to offer, him and his wife, in terms of teaching us. Mona says, oh, wait, I got to go back. Colleen says chocolate crumb with the bananas. Oh, that's what was in the parfait that Chef AJ did. Okay. And Mona, I definitely can't do the more indulgent recipes right now. I will over the holidays so I can share. Yeah, that's, you know what? I get it because they're so yummy. Even though they're whole food, their calories can be a little much. So good for you to recognize that. And then Colleen says, the nature of the farm is so calming. Gorgeous area, and Dr. Weiss's farm is unbelievable. I know. Exactly what you just said, and thank you for sharing that. And I definitely agree. As I was driving through there, I was thinking, okay, is this what it's like for him when he's driving home? I really was thinking that. It's just breathtaking, and the leaves were just starting to turn. And anyways, okay, so let me share about the meals. So they offered on Saturday a breakfast that was a chia pudding oat granola with fresh berries. And it was chia pudding with strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. And then you can have, and had some like granola with oats sprinkled on top. And then you get to pick. They had some pears. It's on the menu, but I personally only saw apples and bananas. So you could get the chia, and then you could pick a fruit. And I did that. I asked for some extra berries because I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to have it, because I thought it was going to be high oats, which I'm trying to hold back on now. Oats are great, so eat your oats. But for me, they can cause inflammation, and I'm careful. But I ended up being able to eat that. Okay, so that was Saturday. Saturday lunch, for me, it was chili because I was with Dr. Grega, but they served everyone else a cauliflower shawarma power bowl. I kind of wished I went and got one of those too, because I could have. I had the little ticket, but I didn't. So If you're on here and you tried that, how was it? I think it was probably really good. Then Sunday for breakfast, they had oats. So it was a overnight cinnamon and berry kind of oats. Let's see if I wrote down the exact name. I did not. I took a picture of it and I don't have my phone. So that's okay. And it's basically apples and cinnamon, overnight oats. Oh, fall spiced granola. That's the original correct name. And so I did not have that one, but they gave me the berries and they put some pecans on it.
Colleen said it was good.
Oh, good. Yay, Colleen. I know. Oh, I can imagine that it was. Everything there was really good. And then again, with each meal, you can get an additional piece of fresh fruit. They also had a container that was sitting out because they had these big things of water where you can bring your container, right? Everyone had their container. You can refill the water. And then next to it, I found at one point just a bucket, and not a bucket, a box, and it just said free. And they were like apples that were not perfect, imperfect apples. Well, I found one and I took it and I ate it later. It was delicious.
Mona has a question. No dinner on Saturday?
Saturday was the fundraiser dinner. So no dinner for anyone else if you went to the fundraiser, you know, and the tickets I think were $500. Huh? Per person. Yeah. So I ended up having a salad for dinner, and then back where I was staying, we had some chickpea pasta with some tomato sauce, and that was really good. And I had a little quinoa before then, and then Sunday's brunch was really good, and somebody gave me an extra one and I saved it for dinner. So I had the Chipotle Brussels sprout power bowl with Chipotle cashew dressing and harvest grain salad with lemon basil dressing, and all the sauces were on the side, and then of course you get your extra fruit. And so I had that for lunch with my water, and then of course I said somebody had given me one, somebody that I know that I met there that was actually going to Chef AJ's luncheon, and she didn't want that one, so I kept it. And then later that night, I had that for dinner. And so anyways, before I move on to the ending here, does anybody have any questions? Oh, I know. Okay, Gina had to go. I know she had another meeting. Thank you so much, Gina, if you're still here. And for those of you that are still on, I'm just going to tell you a couple last things if you want me to keep going. But food going home. So I had the mushrooms, which I wasn't going to eat. I had the potato. It didn't end up lasting because I had it in my car. And so I had to get rid of that. Darn it. If I had had a way to put it on ice, I would have been able to eat the potato. So I ended up, now this is the grapefruit, remember? I ended up having some apples that I didn't eat at the farm. So I ended up having 4 apples for the ride home, and I ate 2 of them before I got home. And then this is a grapefruit, but I had an orange that I had brought from home. So the night before, I peeled it. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because I think about things in a way whereas, how am I going to eat this on a plane? Am I really going to start peeling this, and the smell and the juice, and I'm in this little thing? So for me, if I know I'm going to eat it, like I knew I was going to eat this, I want to make it simple for me. I had the melon in here on the way back and the cut mango. And then what I did was I peeled the orange, and I actually stopped. That's what I have here. I stopped on my way. So after I left the farm, I drove to New York near JFK, and I spent the night in a hotel, and then the next morning I got on a flight to go home. It was just easier to do that long couple hours. It was actually over 2 hours. There was traffic that night and not worry about it in the morning. So on my way, I checked to see where the grocery stores are, and that's something I always do. And so I stopped at a Whole Foods, and they didn't have what I wanted. So I looked, I'm going to be in the car for a few hours. Is there another one on the way? And yes, there was. So I stopped at the second one, and this is not the salad that I got, but they did have more of like these plastic kind of containers at the salad bar. And so I got a salad, And then I took my orange, even though this is the grapefruit, I peeled it, I put it on top. I had I bought a lemon there too. I cut the lemon in the hotel room in half so that I could squeeze it. And this was my salad for the flight. And then I also got some veggie sushi. They had some veggie sushi. Now I normally don't, like that one. I normally like to get the just the rice that they have because they just cook it in water. But can you believe both Whole Foods didn't have rice? No rice. So, and the one didn't have any of veggie sushi. So the second one that I stopped at, they had some vegetable sushi, and it had avocado, cucumber, carrots. And the reason I say I don't normally like to is because I think they do put some sugar. I think they put a little sugar in their rice. Is it sugar? They put something in our salt. But you know what? We do the best we can with the situation we had. And I thought, if I don't get this, I mean, where am I going to eat? Am I going to find something in the airport? I don't think so. I know what the hotel has to offer. That's not going to work. So I went ahead and got 2 of those and used the lemon on those. And so for the plane ride, I had the salad with the orange. I had the bars. I had some of the crackers that I didn't eat. And I had the corn muffin. Do you know I made sure that I had 1 corn muffin left for the ride home? And that's it. Like, I could have eaten them all in one day because they were good. But I just told myself, you're going to have 1 per day. If there's more than 1 per day, you can have 2. But you got to make sure you have at least 1 per day. And that worked out really well for me. And I like to share this because you just got to just be creative. And even with no time or, no real plan, you can do this. It's doable. And so I got on the plane and I enjoyed eating all the way home. And I was not hungry. And I will tell you, the flight attendants, boy, I don't know why they get so surprised when I don't want their cookies. It's true. Cookie? I'm like, oh, no, thank you. No cookie? Like, no, but I'll have an extra cup of water. I like to also offer my cookies to the people next to me who want that. But this is something else why I felt like this happened for a reason. Both flights, going there and coming home, last minute, full flights. I had an extra seat next to me. Nobody was in the extra seat both ways, right? So that was interesting and fun. Okay, and then the last thing is, when I was at the airport, I did it. I got down on the ground and I did 13 push-ups. 13 push-ups, because that's where my max was. My point for sharing that is, I know I'm going to sit in the car. I'm going to sit at the gate. I'm going to sit on the plane. I'm going to sit in the car going home. And when I have an opportunity, I want to move wherever I am. So I went off in the side. I didn't do it right in the middle of the walkway. And I did my push-ups. Nobody cared, but I felt good. And I got up on the plane and I walked around. And so I hope that me sharing this experience, this blessed experience that I got to have, inspires you, answers questions, encourages you to try things. And I did not travel with any weighted gear, no weighted vest or anything, but the backpack felt like a weighted vest. So I had that on a lot, and I didn't check any bags. So I just carried it on, carried it off, and and that's it. So we're 3 minutes over. I just want to see, is there any questions?
I have one question for you.
Yes.
What is the one thing that you took away from this? And why would someone want to go next year? So that's actually 2 questions, technically.
The one thing, I mean, there were so many wonderful things, but being a part of something so big, even though it's not known, this movement makes it worth it for me. And to be able to have those influences, those reminders, those presentations, those people, the community, and the love and the learning, to be able to share and remind myself that I can continue to do this because it's what gave me my life back. is what I took away from it. Yeah. And what was the second part?
Why should someone plan on going next year?
Why not? If you get an opportunity to do any of these types of things, whether you're new and you just want to discover and explore, you don't have to be whole food plant-based to go to these. If you have the opportunity, it's affordable or it's in your area or whatever, you can get the time off of work. I have never met anyone, including myself and my husband, that have said, I wished I didn't go to one of those. So how's that?
That works.
Okay, I just want to end off here by just checking. So Mona says, I have a 17-year-old dog I'm caring for, which is hers, so I can't do anything for a while. And you know what? That's okay. You can always buy the replays at discounted. Sometimes they do, put them live. This one didn't, but, like the NHA does live streaming. And so that's another way. And just being here, Mona, and being in some of the other programs that I know you're in is wonderful. And Marilyn says, being creative is possible, but being disciplined is a challenge. Okay. And so maybe you're still stuck in the pleasure trap. And if you're not familiar with what that is, because we're out of time, I would say check out the Pleasure Trap book. That is a great book by Dr. Alan Goldhamer and Dr. Doug Lyle.
We have a question.
Okay.
Video 1000 Nights would like to know, who was your favorite speaker?
Ooh, gosh. One favorite speaker. And I learned so much from all of them. I really did like Dr. Goldhamer's. And I think gosh, I want to name 5 of them. I have to pick one. This is so hard.
They only asked for one.
I know. Okay, I'm going to say Dr. Alan Goldhamer because I've heard it before. Some of the stuff that I either missed or I didn't understand really resonated, because when I hear things multiple times, I'm a better learner. It absorbs better. But I mean, Dr. Ron Weiss said amazing things. Mary Berry, oh my gosh, she did an amazing speech. Even Jason DeSalvo, they shared again, even though I just recently had him on. So it's hard to pick one. Chef AJ, I said, was hilarious. And so, but I guess that's who I would choose, even though I loved them all. And some of them were new for me as well. And I just want to check on this. Let's just see where I was. Very inspiring at Jennifer, and you go, girl, with the push-ups. Thank you. I'm trying. Marilyn says, and the support. Margie's on here. What a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you for logging in, and I appreciate it. Oh, Estelle says, you're such an inspiration. Thank you so much. And Colleen says, Chef AJ is having a huge conference next year, a must go in Las Vegas. And so maybe that's something that you might be interested in. And if that's closer, if you're on the West Coast or, wherever, to check that out in the coming months. Thank you for sharing your experience, says Natalie. Video 1000 Nights. Hi. Mona says to do, she must have been saying something above. Oh, first one I want to do is plant strong. Yeah, whatever you can do, I say go for it. Dr. Goldhamer, Colleen says, is funny. Others more seriously. Yeah. So he was really a hoot. Lisa says, fun live today. Thank you for sharing your experience. Yes. And you know what? Thank you all so much. I'm just going to log off now and just say, don't forget to eat your greens and give plants a chance. I love you all. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.